Good morning. Welcome to the Rock Talk podcast. Today's episode: one hero's mission to make the world a better place, one laser engraved memory at a time. Let me introduce Jacob. Hold on to your hat, folks, because I've got a real life superhero in the house. Meet our guest of honor, a military veteran with a mission to make the world a better place, one laser engraved memory at a time. By day, they're a career coach extraordinaire, guiding transition service members, veterans, and military spouses toward their dream job with expert advice on resumes, interviews, networking like a pro. And when the sun goes down, this amazing human transforms into a laser engraving wizard, creating one of a kind works of art that capture people's most cherished memories in stunning detail. But that's not all. Our hero also uses their powers for good by supporting wounded warriors and their families with every sale through their Wounded Warrior Wounded Woodworkers initiative. So get ready to be inspired because this is one person who's changing the world, one wood engraving at a time. Jacob, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Nate. Happy to be here. It's an honor.
Well, it's
So
an honor to have you.
yeah, man. Yeah. We've been going back and forth about getting you on, and it's like, yeah, we're doing it. Let's do this. Uh, I've been dropping your link to your laser engravings all over the place, and man, it's extraordinary what you do and how you give back. Let's won't you give us a brief description on your military experience and your history and why you decided to get into career coaching and laser engraving?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just a shy of 10-year Army veteran. I did many things in the military, mainly human resources. When I was brought overseas, got to do other cool things because, being a physically fit person who can shoot well, you get drafted for other items of in the roles. So, got to do some Humvee gunning, got to ride around Blackhawks, do a lot of cool things that I really wasn't um, sure I was ever going to be able to do because I thought I'd be safe tucked away in an office doing something behind a keyboard. But yeah, I got to have a cool experience. The reason I got into the career coaching part was because I had re-enlisted on my last deployment, and then Big Army decided to inactivate our entire brigade upon returning to the United States. So when that happened, my contract was cut rather short. So instead of having 3 more years of service, I had just a couple months. So that changed things very quickly for me. Had to transition out of the military, and when I did that, I went through the TAP program, and I didn't really take things seriously because I kind of thought, hey, I'm a veteran, people will hire me. I've got a great background, and then I couldn't have been more wrong because the skills and experience that I had didn't translate very well into the civilian sector. And to my surprise, many folks thanked me for my service, but really didn't care about those 10 years of service because the skills just didn't line up as well when it came to HR in the military and HR in the civilian sector. So it did take me a few years to get on my feet, get into some good positions. So as I gained some knowledge and experience, I realized that there's a big gap between just certain programs that you get because it's so fast, you're getting so much at once, and you know that's not usually the main concern. Your concerns, losing your identity, trying to find a job, worrying about benefits. I mean, everything changes. So now that I'm have some civilian sector HR experience and a lot of HR and recruiter friends, I've found that there's a job for being a career coach in many companies, helping service members transition out and veterans and military spouses. So since I went through it the hard way, I'm happy to now have all these resources so I can give back. As far as the woodworking part, when I transitioned out, because the Army cut my contract, I did get this big chunk of money called severance, which um, little did I know you have to pay back eventually. But um, I used all that money, bought a wood shop, bought a bunch of tools, did found therapy through woodworking. It was really fun. I invited a bunch of other warriors and veterans over. We were more of a club at that time, so Wounded Woodworkers was our club name. Um, Little did I know that that is also dangerous because you have people over your house using dangerous tools and equipment, and apparently you have to have really good insurance if somebody gets hurt. So I did have an accident. No one died or anything. It was just a flesh wound, but um, I discontinued the whole woodworking on my property and got a purchased laser, started messing around with that, and found there's other ways to give back where maybe I'm not the person doing it. So, now I do the laser engraving, do portraits, and I donate a percentage, pretty large percentage, back to organizations that help wounded warriors and their families heal. So I'm not directly responsible for that part, but I make sure that the money goes to a good cause to professionals that can do this.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds amazing, dude. I'm super proud to call you friend. And, we gotten to know each other actually through an organization's career coaching. And, it's crazy how you can go from like, hey man, I need help finding a job to hey bro, you want to be on the podcast show? Talk about your experiences. But yeah, so discuss the challenges that transitioning service members and veterans and military spouses face when job hunting, and how you specifically, without telling who you exactly work for, wink wink, how you guys help overcome most of those obstacles and the connections that you've made with employers out there, and maybe throw out some resume tips and stuff for the job seekers that might be listening or popping in to watch this morning.
Sure, sure. So I don't have the data in front of me, but I did run a survey poll recently on a huge transitioning network, and it was pretty equal across the board what people struggled with um, between resumes. Translating the military skills. I know that was the number one problem. I did a whole video on that just for them. But and then also networking with strangers. I mean, we call it professional stalking, but
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of people in the military just kind of struggle with asking for help. Um, not sure, not sure what it is for everybody. For me, I was just always like, I can figure it out. And obviously, that was just a terrible approach. So, I'd say one of the biggest things that veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses should start doing is networking with others, whether it's at events, um, online through LinkedIn is a great platform for this, and just talking to other people who have done what they want to do, and or maybe they're in a role that they'd like to be in, or even a company that they'd like to be in, just because the I don't know, the economy right now is just a little crazy. Job searching is a little bit more difficult. It's more of a challenge just applying online and hoping. It's a very terrible
Mm-hmm.
strategy. So if you can talk to other people that are in the roles you want to be in, learn about those roles. What are their KPIs in their job? Do they like their job? Is that company a good company? Just because they're in that company and you see that company on the internet doesn't mean it's a fun place to work.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know, so do lots of research. As far as the resume, and I can give some good experience with this just because I was in HR and I've looked at a ton of resumes. So, and I think it's even more important now just because the amount of applicants per job. Like I was looking at a job a Warrior sent me yesterday. It was posted 2 days ago, and they already had 200 applicants. So I told them say not to do it, but you really want to be within the top 10 to 20 applicants for a job. So set up alerts, apply quickly, make sure your resume is aligned with that job description. And if you have
Mhm.
it in the organization, use them because that's going to help more than anything. But when it comes to the resume, above the fold is important. So top half of the first page. So in your professional summary and your most current job, that's where you want to have the biggest chunk of meat in relation to the job description. So that's the advice there.
Yeah.
So, can I
Go ahead.
backtrack for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Let's do
uh,
it.
just a quick question on your opinion or your view. So, because I know you had mentioned something about like when transitioning to like network and things like that. Um, how would you like? What kind of information or what kind of advice would you give a veteran or service member transitioning that maybe has a hard time networking or has a hard time right away, like getting out there and talking to people? I mean, I know a lot of veterans, so a lot of them have issues with crowds and things like that. And obviously, we're not saying jump out there and go to 700 concerts in a year or anything like that. But what would your advice be to a veteran that like has an issue with that, like doesn't know how to network or is afraid to network or just has that fear of being around a bunch of people? What would you advise them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that's where I come in. Not necessarily me personally. Occasionally, yes, but somebody that has that background to help. So whether it's another career coach, a transition specialist, maybe even other friends that that veteran has that have already transitioned out. Leaning on them and their network. So it happens to me all the time where I'll get a warrior that's either just recently separated or separating now. And, they're not super comfortable with this. It's not something that they had to do in the military, and this is super new. So this is where I spend a lot of time connecting with employers, HR professionals, recruiters, and just random people in jobs that they want to be in. And I try to build that relationship as a veteran myself, and then try to see if I can create like a three-way message to introduce them. So that takes a little bit more time, but there's a lot of other people out there that are more than happy to help with this process, and it's just as effective. I always think it's better for the veteran to do it because they're going to be the ones connecting with that person eventually, anyways. But as they're learning the process and just trying to get comfortable, I'm always happy to kind of be right there next to them, guiding them, and trying to give them questions to ask and making sure that when they're given advice that they actually follow through with trying that advice out before going back for more.
Great answer. I like that. I know I've talked to some veterans, man. They're scared of the civilian world for some reason, and I mean, I get it because I've been there. But then again, I'm the type of person that likes to just be stuck at home anyway. So
Yeah, same.
I kind of relate with some of them, but I've talked to some where they're just like, "Man, I don't want to be out here," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you besides we're gonna have to do it. So let's just push forward." It's like in the military, man. You had to keep going regardless if you liked it or not, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
I just wanted to get that information out there so people understand too. Like there is help out there, and his name is Jacob, and you need to contact him anyway.
And so in the introduction behind the scenes, I was introducing Jacob. Nate mentioned a platform that he sees you on a regular basis and a lot of is LinkedIn. Can you give us a rundown about how important LinkedIn is in the networking and the professional space versus, your everyday posting on Facebook or Twitter or any of the other social medias? Compare and contrast those platforms and the importance LinkedIn has, and how it has helped wounded warriors develop that network and more of a career coaching and been able to potentially even land more jobs. Nate didn't even have a profile on LinkedIn until I created the podcast profile on LinkedIn. Then that kind of just like sucked him into LinkedIn. So I just now got him on LinkedIn not too long ago, and I was trying to tell him like it's an important platform, especially in the professional space.
Sure, sure. So I will start off with, LinkedIn doesn't have to be the end all be all. I do have a lot of veterans that are a little timid when it comes to social media. So I mean, if social media is not your thing, don't worry about it. There's a lot of other opportunities to network with people. But when it comes to LinkedIn, it's a professional platform. At least that's what it's meant to be. That you'll still find that there's spam in there, and there's folks that have profiles that maybe don't fully understand the platform, and you'll see things that they post and like, I'm not sure what this person's doing. But it's important to just have a professional profile. It's basically your digital resume. So you want to have it as aligned to your professional background as possible and where you're trying to go. And the people you're networked with should align with that as well. So it should be folks in the industry that you're in or want to be in, with recruiters and HR professionals that I feel like they're always great to have in your profile, because you'll see things that they're posting, industry trends, job leads, networking opportunities. So I always love having them on my profile. But when it comes to LinkedIn, here's just a couple of things that people should probably know is, you know, you don't have to post like crazy. It's not like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook where you can post multiple times a day and it doesn't do anything. When you do that, it actually slows you down. So you want to have maybe one post a day, couple posts per week. I know I limit it to one per day. That way it reaches the max audience. Once you start posting more, it slows down the traction on the post that you already made. So important to just do it once per day. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to be on this thing all day long. Important things are just adding value to other folks' posts. So commenting on their post, adding your input and value, your experience, to help somebody else out. And then joining groups. There's a lot of professional groups on LinkedIn where you can learn about different industries, whether it's HR or project management, IT. Um, a lot of transition groups where you can learn from others that have already made it out, and maybe they're in a role to give back. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between the platforms, just because I see some people that post, multiple times per day, and I see it because I'm connected with them, but nobody else really sees that past their immediate network. Because
Hmm.
when I post something and Mark, if you were to comment on it and like it, everybody within your network now sees this. And
Yeah,
then as it goes past that, it goes to your network's network as well. So um, it's important for that to grow. Um, and you want to make sure that you're just doing a couple here and there.
exactly. And I find it useful because there's also people who publish well written articles about the realm of your professional space. So mine's IT and business. So I get to see a lot of those IT and business articles, and and right now it's I knew that the labor market was in IT, especially software engineering, was going downhill because I started seeing the trend through LinkedIn of all the layoffs happening within these larger companies before it hit mainstream media, because they were already posting, oh, looking for work, we got hit by the layoff, open for work. And you can see it, like it started with Microsoft, and it went to Twitter and then Disney and stuff like that, so you could see it just trending. And it gives you a really good tool to see what's out there, how the market is trending, the ups and downs. And if you're a military member, don't forget you get LinkedIn Premium for free. Okay. And it'll also give you your stats. Like if you upload a resume and you fill out all the stuff, you can actually see what percentage of applicants you would be placed in if they had enough applicants. And it's a really good tool to see. There's a few that I've been able to apply for that I hadn't thought of because LinkedIn's tool was like, hey, you're in the top 10% of applicants. And it may
Wait,
not lead to anything, but it's a good tool to have.
you said
So
as military as military, you get the premium for free.
yeah, yeah. So
Y'all,
there's
y'all are gonna have to help me do that because it keeps asking me to pay like an outrageous amount of money to be premium.
yeah, you don't need to do that. Hang on, I'll
Oh, we're good. We
drop.
can do that uh, later. Yeah, it keeps showing me. It says try premium for free, but then when I go through, then it was like $99 or something, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, don't do that. And a little tip on the link. It's like a social impact link for veterans and military spouses.
Yeah,
But I don't know if there's, maybe just an issue with the link, or maybe it's set up this way on purpose, but it says you're supposed to get a year free for LinkedIn Premium, and it does give you that. And little does most people know is you could actually reuse that link a few times. So,
yeah.
I mean, I've used it, I think,
I just dropped it in the
7 times.
YouTube chat. So if you're out there listening and you're a military vet, it is in the YouTube comments.
That's awesome. I will look through it when we're done.
Yeah, man. And the cool thing is with it, you get access to LinkedIn Learning. So you get the premium features for year, right? Year, but
Mhm.
you're also access to like 10,000 courses through LinkedIn Learning, and it really helps. Which used to be, was it Linda Learning? Is that what it used to be before it went to LinkedIn Learning, Jacob?
I'm not sure what it was called. I just know it's pretty cool. One thing about that though is I feel like a lot of veterans and spouses may kind of, and people in general, I guess, think that these are actual professional certifications. So it does give you this cool certificate when you complete
Yeah,
courses.
but they're
Um,
not.
I wouldn't recommend adding it to your profile as a certification. These are more tools to help you brush up on the terminology for that industry and help you kind of speak that lingo and learn a little bit more to just freshen yourself up. It's not necessarily like a professional certification that holds weight in that industry. It does help you learn the lingo and speak upon it, but that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's more or less to help with skills, not certifications. Like you get the certificate, you can add it as a skill, but it's not really a certification. Like you can say, yeah, I completed this, LinkedIn learning course on it, so I know a little bit about it, but it's not
So
a in-depth course.
so kind of like people do in the military where they're like, I talked to a sapper, so I'm basically a sapper now. So
Yeah, kind of. Or you do the online military learning, and you're like, yeah, I got a certificate for that,
yeah,
and so
gotta love
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, yeah. All right, Jacob. So moving on, uh, let's talk about cool stuff. Laser engraving. I can watch videos laser engraving all day long, dude. I don't know what it is. It's just so cool. So let's talk about your passion for the laser engraving. And you brushed up on how you got started. You went from the woodworking shop through the injury, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna step back and just do laser engraving. Um, So yeah, let's talk about that. I love the laser engraving. I've always wanted to do it, but never pulled the trigger on the laser engraver myself. But I'm also a therapeutic woodworker.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm very interested in tech. Not super tech savvy, but I do like it, and I'm interested in technology and different things. So whether it's 3D printing or I don't know, just lots of cool things out there. Lasers really got my attention just because I know it's a random story here, but I was at the PX one day and just shopping. This is as I was about to get out of the military, and they had this cool laser set up, and they were laser engraving Jack Daniel's bottles with like your name and rank and your unit crest or logo. So like I had the 101st, Screaming Eagle on there, and just seeing how it worked and how quickly it did it, and I mean, it was incredible. I mean, they were doing it for free, but it was a very good marketing tool for this laser. So, you know, I didn't end up getting that one just because it cost more than my vehicle. But I did a lot of research year after year. It wasn't something that I could really justify purchasing. Um, and I eventually just kind of saved up, and this did cause some issues in the household between my wife and I because it was a large purchase, and
Yeah.
I ended up buying this before we had full permission on both sides. So it was a little rough at first. However, as I learned how to operate it, and um, my wife saw the things that I could do with it and the money that was generated from things I could do with it, she became very excited. So that all just kind of went away. I will tell you, if you're on her side of the family, you always get really cool gifts for all the holidays, and
Oh, I'm sure.
um, it's not super great on me just because material and time cost. But anyways, they get really cool gifts.
You didn't know that
um,
was your cousin-in-law?
yeah.
I'm just
When I have
kidding.
a lot of long lost family members reaching out to me after this.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I started doing research and then realized that there's a lot of people in my area that also have different types of lasers. And I realized I had to do something different. And photographs is probably one of the most difficult things to do with a laser. I've gotten a lot of feedback from others who try to do it, and uh, it just doesn't come out very well for them. So I don't know. I feel like I've dedicated a lot of time to perfecting this craft, and I've gotten pretty good at it. So I stick with just the portraits mainly. There's a couple realtors. I do some small items for them because I've already been working with them for years before I went full photograph. But um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of did a lot of time and practice and realized that, hey, there's a need for this. There's not a lot of other people doing this. There's no large organizations out there that I can find on Google that do it either, unless you want to get it from China and wait months for something. I can pump it out in a couple days. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I just was attracted to it. It was like a love at first sight.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to, but would you mind telling me what brand laser engraver you went with? Because I've been
Sure.
looking at a bunch of them too. So,
Yeah, definitely. So I went with the Glowforge Pro. It reason I went with it is it's an American company. Obviously, it's probably made in China or something, but the customer service is American. So when I first got this laser, I needed help setting up. So I let them know. I called them, and they had one of their engineers FaceTime me and walk me through everything. So I mean, it was really cool, and their platform's really easy to use. So that's kind of why I went with them. I know they're a little pricey, but I mean, if you
mhm.
start getting into lasers, I mean, there's much more pricey equipment out there.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you want to know about the laser that caught my eye at first was Epilogue. So that would be a really good laser to get if you can afford it. But um, there's others out there too that are cheaper. I mean, you could probably
Yeah.
get a good laser for $500, $1,000. you just have to learn all the software, and if it breaks, then you might be in trouble unless you're super tech savvy. I'm not,
Yeah.
so I need to call somebody and have them walk me through fixing it.
So my little brother and I, we've been doing woodworking and building projects for my daughter's marching band for a while now. And we have tossed around the idea of getting a larger CNC machine and or an laser engraver a couple of times, but we never really like pulled the trigger on it. But I would love to have a laser engraver or a large and because the laser engraver is not just limited to one thing, like most laser engrave just about anything, right? With that one. But the CNC machine would cut wood parts phenomenally, and then to laser engrave those would be epic. But yeah. All right, so let's highlight. Do you have any projects that you've done that really stand out in your mind, that you're super proud of with the woodworking, the laser engraving initiative?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, while I can do photos, that can mean many things. So whether it's a wedding, a pet, or a lost loved one. So I'd say the most memorable things would be, first off, things I've done of my daughter. So her just growing through the years and
Mm,
capturing those would probably be number one for me. But I do a lot of bereavement gifts, and I'm just a sucker for stories because I feel like I just can't charge for them. And hopefully that doesn't get too out of control of people. But I really enjoy doing these because I can capture that moment in wood and have, like, recently we did one for one of my teammates in December. Her mother passed, and I got to have my entire team handwrite notes on the back, and laser the handwritten notes in the back too. So it just add a extra depth of personalization to it. I recently did it with a warrior I'm working with. He lost his dog, and that was the only thing he had. He didn't have
yeah,
family, and I don't know. It hurts me inside, and I'm just like, well, I have this equipment just sitting here, and I'm like, I have no customers at the moment. Why not? So it just makes me feel good because I'm giving them something, and then just seeing them either tear up. I'm not crying, you're crying, or just thank me. I mean,
yeah,
it just makes me feel really good. I don't need anything out of it, just other than just seeing how happy they are.
What's that saying? Good things come to those who do good, right? So
Hmm.
even if you I mean, even if you have people that come to you and give you some story, and it could be fake, it could, you don't know, but the fact that in your heart you're doing something good, I mean, that's amazing, dude. That's awesome.
yeah, and you what you put out in the world you'll receive. So you're putting out good stuff, and you're going to receive good stuff. So that leads me to this, Jacob. You're doing such a great thing with the bereavement stuff, and I know cost and time sucks. So how can we get involved to help alleviate that here at the Rock Talk podcast and the listeners? So, do you have a donation link that you have set up, or do you want to create one that may help alleviate some of the personal burden and help us help you, especially with, wounded warriors getting stuff for loved ones that's passed or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is just helping, spread the word, right? My mission's to, engrave these memories and help support wounded warriors and their families. So if you wanted to donate, I'm a corporate supporter of Wounded Warrior Project. I have a link to donate directly to them if that's an organization that you would like to support directly. And if you just wanted to purchase something cool for a loved one, then yeah, you can just come to my site or find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I mean, pretty much all over other than TikTok. And whenever you purchase with us, I donate that money. So it just I don't know. However, I'm just happy to be here today, just talking about it honestly. So you
You
know.
don't
Yeah.
do
So
you don't do no TikTokers or anything?
I'm skeptical, right? I don't have my tinfoil hat on right now, but
Right.
yeah,
uh, it's just not a platform I'm comfortable using. That's all.
No, I got you. That's awesome. So I don't want to take too much time from everybody, but I do kind of just and I think I mean I know you talked about the career coaching and everything. And um is there like a brief rundown or a quick overview of how someone if someone wanted to how they could get into the career coaching or anything like that, or is it something that basically they have to have like experience, they have to do the research, something like that?
Sure. Uh, that's a tricky question, I guess, right? I wouldn't say a transitioning service member. I don't know that it'd be a great career path like immediately, because you're just figuring it out now. Now you got to teach others how to do it, and what may have worked for you might not work for them. Not saying it's impossible because anybody can learn on the fly, pretty much any job out there. You're going to get trained. I'd say what was successful for me is I have a background in human resources, which translates really well into this path because I know resumes, I know interview preparation, I know how to negotiate salary. I'm comfortable networking. I do it all the time. So, I mean, I think experience is pretty important with this role because you don't want to be giving somebody information and then they take it and run with it, and it might not have been the best. And I'm wrong sometimes too. Sometimes we're trying things out. I have warriors that want to change career paths, and we'll try something out, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and we just readjust. I think the
Right.
best thing about having somebody in a career coach, field, is just you've got someone that can help you figure that part out because you're not just trying to adjust on your own or um, I don't know. I think it's difficult to just jump into. I think you do need experience, but like anything, it can be learned.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you got to
yeah, I'm
adapt
about
and
to.
overcome for certain things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying to jump into that workspace now. If they ever start the interview process, state of Kentucky.
I'm actually working on changing my major. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to school right now for my master's in child psychology, but realize that long term mental health counseling is going to be the best for me. So I just put in my application and admission stuff because I had to do like personal statements and stuff to switch over to become a mental health counselor instead. So
Well, there's a huge need for that, especially in our world. So, I
right,
mean,
right, and
definitely
then
commend you for that.
well, and then I was looking like long term with child psychology and development, and I was looking out there, and I'm just like, there- there's nothing. Like there is something, but
Yeah.
there's nothing. And then I'm looking, and
Well,
I'm like,
the number one thing it seems like with child psychology is mostly with school districts or a children's hospital or something like that. Like it's a very limited scope nowadays. Like it's seriously such a small realm. And that's coming from somebody who has a special needs child that we sit with a school psychologist on a yearly basis to develop the individual education plan, but
mhm,
rarely does the school psychologist interact much with our daughter because the needs are not therapeutic, or she can't verbalize the feelings and stuff like she has. So it's almost a limited scope for her where she needs more speech therapy and occupational stuff, occupational therapy. So I can see where that would be difficult for you to find stuff in, Nate. So
Right.
I commend you for looking at a broader spectrum of just mental health counseling as a whole. And the mental health thing is really starting to catch on more, and we're bringing more awareness to it here through the podcast and what we do on Twitch as streamers and who we partner with that support that mission of making the world a better place through acts of kindness and supporting others mentally and spiritually. So, I very much commend you, man. And you're definitely I definitely respect you a ton, dude. Um, and Jacob, like, I'm not giving your number out personally, but this guy I could text almost for 10 o'clock at night and be like, "Hey, I applied for this job," or "Yep, still ain't heard," and then he'd be like, "Hey, just call him. It's been a week. Just call him. Start bugging him." And
Yeah.
so I mean, making connections with people like that on it'll help, dude. And who knows, Jacob might know somebody down the road that has, that's in that workspace and be able to make a connection with you and somebody else. Cause I think you're out of his network of reach up in Michigan, but he might know somebody else that might know somebody else that knows somebody else. And that's the point of networking is you're developing your huge net. When you cast the net, you'll catch more fish, right? If
Right.
the net's bigger. So, and yeah, just the networking part, especially for career, is huge. And most of the time, I don't even remember the statistics that I read last that the personal networking is what got them jobs over blindly shotgun blasting, applying to jobs is knowing somebody, getting a foot in the door, building that rapport with someone. You know what I mean? So yeah, the networking part is huge.
Well, and I'll just touch on that too. Is my last three positions, including the one I have now, came from networking. It wasn't necessarily something I was chasing. I wasn't looking for. I had a strong LinkedIn presence. People knew what I was about, what I did, and I was kind of drafted or recruited, I guess, in a sense. Like especially the position I have now. I mean, I didn't even know it existed. Um, so it was pretty cool because I was in HR and, I was just like, there's got to be something better out there. I wasn't, actively looking, but one day I get this call from my friend and they're like, hey, we have this opening in Nashville. I think you'd be really good for it. I'm like, all right, tell me more. So I started learning about the role, and I was like, wow, that really does align with my background. And I don't have to deal with investigations in the middle of the night or coming in on the weekend to fire somebody. So I was
Yeah.
like, it's much more appealing and safe. Networking's super important.
Yeah, and the current role that I'm pursuing is basically what you do, Jacob, but on state level with 8 counties, and also just working with wounded warriors, basically because I only would see veterans that are 30% to say service connected or more in my office if I was to get it, and I check my application status, it's still in review as of yesterday. So this, state government jobs, they slow go a lot, but it hasn't reposted, so I think we're looking good as far as applicants and everything else. Hopefully, I'm the only one. Knock on carbon fiber.
Why not too?
But yeah, and and I wouldn't have even I didn't even know about that position until I went in for one of their mandatory like job things, and then I ended up teaching the lady that was supposed to be teaching the class some new stuff about LinkedIn and then how you can use AI powered tools to help stuff that Jacob had showed me about, revamping your resume or cover letter for a specific job. And like it, and that's all it was. It was just a little bit of spreading the knowledge to somebody to add something new to their toolbox. And they were like, hey, we got a perfect position for you that we have not been able to find anybody for. Would you be willing to do it? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it aligns with my overall mission is giving back and helping veterans in any way I can. So if helping them find a career or a job just to get them out of a bad situation, then I'm down for it. But apparently they're not in a hurry.
Hey, and I'll tell you this too. It may take you a little bit to pick up everything and learn it, but uh, there's nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody else, out of a rough area, or just giving them advice that changes their life. I mean, it's crazy. And then I know you guys mentioned it in the past. How acts of kindness, give back and all that. All this stuff comes full circle. It's not why I do it, but it is exciting to see that. So, you help somebody get into a position, it's their dream job, and now all of a sudden they're a hiring manager or they're a recruiter, and they're like, "How do I hire more veterans?" And I'm like, "Well, I have I have a ton. What do you need?"
Yeah.
So just having that, military community, that camaraderie, it comes, it's past the military. It's something that's forever. So I think you're gonna, whenever we hear about this role of yours, I have to call Andy Bashir over there in Kentucky, and see what's going on. But once you get into this role, I mean, you'll have a lot of support. You got me on speed dial pretty much.
Yeah.
So happy to answer any questions. I actually cover Kentucky, so it's actually something I can help out with without you know having to do it after hours or something.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
sometimes I
I'm
get my
getting
hand
tired of
slapped.
listening to Mark. God, this guy keeps calling and texting me. But yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I can't wait. I really can't. I'm excited for it, even though it's taken almost a month and still, well, over a month. I think it was April 7th when I applied.
They're
But
just making you wait. They're teasing
yeah,
you. So
yeah,
that way
they
when the
are.
time comes you can get super excited.
I mean, I'm for it, man. I've already made preparations. I've already told people that, hey, I'm gonna be doing this, throughout the day. Hopefully soon, but until then, I'm just enjoying life and lining ducks in a row, making those connections through networking with organizations throughout Kentucky. Just that way, I have a foot in the door. So when I do hit the ground, if I get the job, I can hit the ground running at
Hey,
full
why
speed.
don't you why don't you go there Monday? Just tell them you'll start immediately for free until they figure things out.
Do it.
Hey, you know
Do it.
what though? Because that would probably work because they would still have to pay me unemployment since I'm still laid off because I'm not technically making any money. So they would still be paying me. Yeah.
Hey, there's always a loophole, right?
Yeah. Yep. Like, hey, I'll volunteer to do this job until you guys hire me, and only if you hire me. Well, yeah, man, I really enjoy being able to talk to guests, about their journey and their missions in life, and how, in the end of the story that, well, not the end of the story, but the next chapter, how everybody's starting to their mission starting to align, and it's so awesome that just figuring out that we were networking together about career coaching and everything else. Then we find out about like 30 other projects you've been involved in. It's like, dude, that would work for me too. Tell me more. The Rosie Network, uh and then we got into talking about your laser engraving stuff, and like, man, that'd be a great episode to just put information out about what you do and how to give helpful tips on career coaching and LinkedIn and resumes and all that good stuff. um, to all the listeners, you can find Jacob on LinkedIn. um, he's a great person. He can at least help point you in a right way. And if we get too many people, then we can blow up his profile and he can just go into the director level role of his current job. So let's everybody help him out here.
Yeah, that'd be
Uh,
nice, right?
right. So, and I want everybody to check out the Wounded Woodworkers laser engraving. I posted the link in the YouTube chat live, and then we will definitely link all of your information. Well, not all your information, but to the, we'll post your LinkedIn profile and your website for Wounded Woodworkers on the episodes. So across all the podcast episodes, hopefully I'll have it up this evening,
No,
depending on what.
we want all your information. I need your social security number.
Hey, I have good credit, so that's not going to help you nowadays, apparently.
Yeah,
So
Oh,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah, never
you're
mind.
screwed.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Dang it.
But
Whatever, idiot.
Mark does have my address, so.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
But I will not be posting that. Sorry.
just
But
post like the address for a jail or something.
yeah, there you go. The Tennessee Department of Corrections.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
where you're
better yet,
going
we'll
if you
just
mess with Jacob.
either that we can just post the governor's address. There
Old
we go.
Andy.
Yeah. Post the governor of Kentucky's address. Get off your ass. But yeah, let's see. Forgot where we were. Talked about that. Man, we've unloaded a lot of stuff in this episode. This is a really good informational episode, and I appreciate that, Jacob. Let's see.
Yeah, you're awesome, Jacob.
Hey, I just try, and I think this is one important thing for all the viewers to kind of understand and try. You want to really try to be a jack of all trades. You want to be valuable to your company, especially in uncertain times like now. It does help to be able to provide value in more areas than your current role. So if you can take on a larger workload, which obviously it's not ideal, especially since you're not going to make more money doing this, but it does help you be more valuable to your current organization and team. And when things happen like layoffs or different things, you're more likely to hopefully be kept because you have a lot of value and you can do more than just your role. So I mean that's always something to think about too. I know you guys kind of joked about me doing all these different things and different projects, and I just can't help myself. So um,
Well,
I,
all of it is able to go on your resume. Like if you are in one position and you're doing a totally different position and you pick up a skill and you're particularly decent at that skill, it it's a skill to go on your resume. So it may be a skill that a different company's looking for later down the road that you might fit in, that may lead to a better paycheck or even better benefits, even if the pay's the same. So it's always good to develop those skills. Like I was my last role was junior software support specialist, where I did a little bit of coding, a little bit of admin stuff, and all this other. I was a jack of all trades in that position and a master in none. So it was good to have. It was good to be able to learn that, and it was. I think it helped a lot. Um, just right now, the IT field is kind of oversaturated with candidates right now in software engineering because of the whole layoffs at Disney, Microsoft, Twitter, and I think Google is doing some. Not sure, not positive. I think I heard a little bit of that, but I haven't looked into it. Google would be an ultimate dream job, but I am definitely not moving to California for that.
Yeah, I want one of those hammock chairs
Yeah.
or a nap pod.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Heck, if I'd known that, dude, I'd have sent you my daughter's before I donated it. It sat back here in my office for like 3 years. She only used it a few handful of times. But yeah. Um, so yeah, Jacob is a master of all trades. Um, I haven't seen him fail at much. Uh, and he provides excellent advice on career coaching and just overall life in general. He's a great friend of mine. Glad to be able to help him out whenever he needs help, uh, and more importantly, help spread the word about Wounded Woodworkers through the podcast and all our social media accounts. So if you subscribe, you listen, or anything else, go purchase something for Jacob from Jacob's company. It goes a long way. It's more than just a gift from you to somebody you know. The proceed he donates a big chunk of proceeds to organizations that help veterans, and you will not be sorry with the work. Um, it's excellent work. I've not seen any other company out there like his that's been able to perfect the portraits on wood, much less anything. Portraits in general, like Jacob said, is hard. So check out his work at uh, the links that'll be attached to everything going forward on today's episode of the Rock Talk podcast. Jacob, any final words?
Well, I would just say, never underestimate the power of small acts and kindness. They can make a big difference in the world, positive impact for both giver and receiver. I know I get a lot of credit for stuff that I do, and that's cool and all. Not exactly why I do it. It makes me feel good. So that's my biggest motivator and driver. Obviously the receiving part is cool, it's nice, makes me feel even better, but it shouldn't be the reason why you do stuff. And it doesn't have to be big, just a smile, a compliment, just some nice gesture that can help brighten someone's day, can help improve their mood, and leaves a ripple effect. Okay, so it's not just you made that person happy, it's now, hey, maybe they were in a dark place, you don't know, and now they're going to go spread more joy and happiness to others. I mean, I don't know. That's just the reason why I do anything that I do. So, I mean, I
Right.
feel like if you can um, add that into your everyday life, no matter what it is, it's important.
Absolutely.
So looking at
Absolutely.
your portfolio for everybody that listens to this, I can tell you that you need to go and purchase something from him because wow, this is wow.
We're a little late for Mother's Day, but Father's
Okay.
Day, birthdays, all that stuff. Unless you're local, Mother's Day is cutting it a little close.
Right?
So I'll be purchasing something for Mother's Day today.
You're gonna we'll have to meet halfway or something driving because I
I
don't trust the mail system to get it there on time.
I was gonna say yeah, I'm ordering right now. I need it to be there before Sunday. Kidding.
It'll be hand delivered, right?
You can overnight that stuff, but it won't
Yeah,
be. It probably won't be there. Time it
yeah,
gets done, and time it gets done engraving, and then into the mail. I don't think it'll make it by Sunday.
yeah. No,
Uh,
I've learned overnight and next day mail doesn't actually mean that. You just pay a
Overnight
lot of
only.
money
Yeah.
and it gets there when it gets there.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. With the mail system, I used to work for them. Yeah. They'll do whatever. It takes however long they want it to.
See, I can edit this out, but you can order it now and just tell her it was supposed to be there by Sunday.
Why would you
Yeah.
edit it? That's like a majority of what people do anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know what's going on. I ordered it like a week ago.
If you are gonna do that though, let me know because I do usually put my logo and QR code on the back, and I won't do that. I'll just put like some symbol from China or something.
No, Jacob. No.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
Oh
I
my
like
lord. See, I told you. I told you I ordered it a week ago. That's why it's late.
it. It was sitting in customs.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
love it.
customs in Tennessee. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Man,
man. I appreciate you though. Thank you so much for everything you do.
I
and
appreciate you both.
yeah, man. Thank you for the time and commitment, and the time sacrifice that you put in alone, just for being there for veterans. And I know that we've talked it late at night, and it may not about career stuff, but just shooting the proverbial shit basically, and just chit chatting. Um, and and it takes a lot of a person, and it says a lot about their character, about being there for people when they just a few words in the text message can mean the world to a guy in need or a gal in need, mentally. Just being able to respond at late night, while you're with your family, is just it says a lot about your character. And that's why I truly support you 100% in what you do, and will always promote and back you, dude. And like I said, everybody that's listening, go check out Wounded Woodworkers on every social media platform except for TikTok.
Except for TikToker. 'Cause
He
no, we're not doing that.
does not want his identity stolen from TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, although it may be a benefit now, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, you can get a lot. I mean, you can get a lot of videos produced on TikTok, or put up on TikTok, and quite a bit of views. But I'm not sure. I haven't really been able to gauge the actual follow through and how it comes and goes, as far as where the driving force and how many clicks you would get on your website, unless you're using something like Google Analytics and stuff like that. And then even at that point, you're not sure how accurate that is. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And honestly, I don't really want to ship outside of the United States if I don't have to. It gets way more complicated when that
Yeah.
happens. And some people don't want to pay for that cost either. So,
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to keep it local here in the great US of A, if I can.
Right. That makes
Like,
sense.
yeah. But if you're willing to pay for international shipping, he will do it, but you're going to pay for
Yes, it's going to
it.
cost you $1 million.
That's so awesome. He's not lying either.
US,
I'm just
US,
kidding.
US money.
Yeah, the dollar.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today's episode with Jacob and Wounded Woodworkers. Be sure to check them out everywhere except for TikTok. Their links will be posted with this video and with the podcast episode. And we are excited to have him here. We're grateful that he took time out of his day to come chit chat with us and tell us about his mission and goals for his spreading kindness. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We are now signing off.
Now my mama